Hey everybody, Ryan here at eTrailer. Today we're going to be showing you how to install the CURT Class 3 trailer hitch here on our 2018 Lincoln MKC. But before we do that, why don't we check it out and make sure that this is something that's going to work for you. So I feel like if it were me and I was looking for a hitch for a Lincoln, I think the first thing that would come to my mind is how's it going to look? You know, these are really good looking cars, and so you don't want a big hitch, you know, hanging down below, taken away from the appearance of it. With that said, it really doesn't get much better than this hitch. You know, for the most part, it's going to be completely hidden, so you're really not even going to be able to notice it on the back of your Lincoln. One of the big questions that we do get asked all the time is if the hitch is going to interfere with your hands-free liftgate assist feature. Now, unfortunately, our vehicle here today does not come equipped with that feature, but from past experience, I will assure you that feature will still work if your Lincoln is equipped with it. All you're gonna have to do is just kick your foot to either side of the hitch and it'll operate like normal. With this being a Class 3 hitch, it is gonna give us that 2" by 2" receiver tube opening. Very common size, and a ton of accessories will work with it. It's gonna have a reinforced collar here at the end for a little bit of extra strength, and it's going to utilize that standard 5/8 pin and clip. Now keep in mind the pin and clip is not come included, but if you need one, you can grab it here at eTrailer. I am a fan of these safety chain openings. They're really large and easy to see and get to, and because of that, we're going to be able to use just about any size hook that we might have. The hitch is going to give us some really good weight capacities. As far as the maximum gross tongue weight rating goes, that's going to be 525 pounds, and that's going to be the amount of weight that's pushing down on the hitch. That's a pretty high number, and you should be able to use pretty much any size bike rack or cargo carrier that you'd want to, for example. As far as the maximum gross trailer weight rating goes, that's going to be 3,500 pounds, and that's going to be the amount of weight that is pulling on the hitch. So that is the weight of the trailer plus anything that you might have on it. Now this hitch can be used with the weight distribution system, which is a separate component, and whenever you use that, what it's going to do is help your trailer and your Lincoln ride nice and level whenever you're pulling it down the road. With that said, if you do use a weight distribution system, the maximum gross tongue weight rating is going to remain the same at 525. However, the maximum gross trailer weight rating is going to increase to 5,000 pounds. But keep in mind, never a bad idea just to check your owner's manual. That way you can make sure your Lincoln can pull up much weight safely. There is a couple of things I do want to mention. If you do plan on pulling a trailer, you are going to want the lights to work on it. That way you're safe and legal. And if that's what you intend on doing, I would recommend checking out some trailer wiring so you can accomplish that. And one thing I did notice is the hitch is going to sit a little bit further back, which is great for the appearance, but it is going to take away a little bit from our bumper clearance. Really not a huge deal, but if you do plan on using folding accessories, something you need to think about. That way you can know if you can actually fold that upright without having to worry about it hitting the back of your bumper. Now chances are pretty good, especially if you're using a newer accessory, probably not going to run into any issues. A lot of those have really long shanks and give us that clearance we need, but something I just wanted to mention. Now I'm going to give you a couple of measurements, and you can use these to help figure out which hitch mounted accessories are going to work best. From the ground to the top inside edge of the receiver tube opening, that's going to be about 13.5 inches. So if you do plan on doing some towing, chances are pretty good you're going to need to get a ball mount with a rise. From the center of the hitch pin hole to the edge of the rear bumper, that's going to be about 6 inches. And you can use that measurement to figure out exactly if any folding accessories you might have can be stored in that upright position without contacting the bumper. So when it comes down to it, a hitch you really can't go wrong with. You know, you really couldn't ask too much more out of it. Not only is it going to look good, but it's going to allow you to do those things that you were trying to get done. Now, as far as the installation goes, it's really not too bad, believe it or not, especially for a Lincoln. Matter of fact, a lot of our customers actually told us that they had no issues getting it done, and it really didn't take them a ton of time. And I'd have to agree with them. It really wasn't too bad. But speaking of the installation, let's go ahead and put it on together now. To begin our installation, we're going to be here underneath the back of our Lincoln, and we are going to need to lower the exhaust down a little bit to give us the space that we need to work. Before I do that, I suggest taking a strap and just running it from side to side. That way the exhaust will have a little bit of support and we can kind of control how fast and how far we let it come down. To actually lower our exhaust, on each side of our vehicle, we're going to have this bracket here, and if we pull out these two 13mm bolts, the exhaust will come down. So I'll do this side and then the other side of our vehicle, and I want to mention from this point on, anything we do to one side, we'll also do to the other, so we set up the same way. Grab my 13mm socket and pull those out. At this point, what we need to do is get some of our hardware inside of the frame rail. That way we can use it to secure the hitch. To do that, we're going to be using this opening here as an access hole. What you're going to put in there will be a spacer block, which that fits fine. The only issue is the carriage bolt. That access hole is just a little bit too small to get that in there. So we are going to need to enlarge it. Good news is we don't have to take out much material. A couple ways you can do this. You can use a hand file or some type of grinding bit. That's exactly what I'm going to use just to help kind of speed things up. So I'll remove a little bit of material, come back, check, see if that bolt goes through. If it does, great. If not, we'll take out a little bit more and continue to do that until we get the bolt to fit. So it looks pretty good there. We'll grab our bolt. It does indeed fit through there. So now we can come back with some fish wires to actually get the hardware in the frame and to our attachment points. There's going to be a total of 2 attachment points on the side of our frame rail. One of them will be right here, and then the other one will be same area, just a little bit further towards the front of our vehicle. Go ahead and start with this one first. What you're going to do is grab one of your fish wires, and what I like to do is just kind of eyeball the distance there, kind of put a bend in that wire. It makes it a little easier to get out. And what you're going to do is take the coiled end, put it through there, and what we're trying to do is get that to drop out of the access hole. Sometimes it'll be able to come right out, other times you may have to kind of reach up there and help kind of guide it out. Kind of redo my fish wire here, it's kind of bent out of shape. Once you get it to drop down, we're going to take spacer block, slide that over, and then our carriage bolt, we're going to thread that on. Then we can feed the hardware inside of the frame. We'll work that bolt out of the opening. The other attachment point is going to be right here. And so we'll do the same thing. Take the coil into the fish wire, run it through, get it to drop out of our access hole, put that spacer block on there, followed by the carriage bolt, feed it into the frame, and pull it out. Now we can install our side plates. These are side specific, and so you got to pay attention to how you put these on. The way these are going to work is this flat side here. It's going to go against the frame, and those 2 bolts that we fish wired in are going to come out through here. Now if you look at it straight on, you can see this is going to be angled slightly. And you want this angle to face towards the outside of our vehicle. With that said, take the side plate and the appropriate fish wires and feed them through the holes in the side plate. We can raise this up into position. Lined up. And pull the hardware through. So once you have the bolts through, you can remove the fish wire. We're going to take a flange nut and get both of them started hand tight. Kind of a tech tip. Sometimes these bolts are going to want to fall back inside of the frame, so what you can do is kind of pull down on that side plate and apply a little bit of pressure to that bolt. It's going to make it stay in place a lot better and much easier to get the nut started. Now we can grab the center section of our hitch and get it into position. What you want to do is work it from the passenger side over to the driver's side. Kind of push up into place, and then these holes are going to line up with the holes in our side plate. On each side, you want to grab at least one carriage bolt. Feed that through. And then get a flange nut hand tight. Once the hitch is supporting itself, we're going to have two more attachment points. So we'll line the hitch up with the side plate. And again, you're just going to take a carriage bolt and a hex nut. At this point, we can come back and snug up our hardware. So I'm going to tighten down these three nuts first that are actually holding the center part of our hitch to the side plates. Use an 11/16 socket. And I'll come back and tighten up the ones that are attaching the side plate to the frame. This one back here is a little tight. Don't have a ton of room to kind of work around, so it may be easier to use a box wrench to get this one snug down. And don't forget to come back with a torque wrench and tighten down all of the hardware to the amount specified in the instructions. Once we have the hitch torqued, we can then hold our exhaust back up to reuse the factory hardware. We'll get all the bolts started, and we can come back and tighten and torque them. And with the exhaust rehung, we can then come back and remove our strap. And that'll finish up our look at and our installation of the CURT Class 3 trailer hitch on our 2018 Lincoln MKC.